Good afternoon. My name is Caleb with Indiana Weather Online, Indiana Weather Network. We're doing a live update midday today. Good afternoon on this Thursday afternoon. We're quite warm across Indiana currently. Temperatures sitting in the upper 50s, getting close to 60 degrees across southwest Indiana. All in all, not a bad day, but that is about to change. We have a lot of things to talk about here over the next 24 to 36 hours across Indiana. Here's a live look at visible satellite. What started out as a partly cloudy, mostly sunny morning is now turning into mostly cloudy. We have a frontal system getting ready to move into Indiana. You can see our large upper level low churning across the upper Midwest, moving into Wisconsin, Minnesota. This weather system is going to be quite a wild ride across Indiana over the next 24 hours. What's starting out 50 degrees today, tonight, into tomorrow morning. Temperatures are going to go from 50 degrees to the tens by Friday morning. When you wake up tomorrow morning, wind chills will be in the single digits. How do you feel about that? So, live look at radar here. We're going to switch things up here a little bit. So, here's a live look at our current radar. Showers and a few scattered showers are starting to make their way into Indiana. These will continue over the next 12 hours or so. Here this afternoon, light rain will move into Indiana, but look off to the west here. Here's our first cold front. We're going to have two cold fronts moving through Indiana today. Our first cold front is moving into central Illinois, has a nice line of showers and some embedded thunderstorms down to St. Louis all the way up to Rockford, Illinois. This line is going to be racing off to the east. Pretty quickly. It's going to be moving into Indiana probably around 3 or so this afternoon Central Time and exiting Indiana by about 8, 9 o'clock here this evening. Along this line, though, we have seen a couple severe thunderstorm warnings in Illinois and special weather statements. We do think some gusty winds are possible within this line if it holds together moving into Indiana. We could see some wind gusts right around 40 to 58 miles per hour associated with this line as it moves into Indiana. Something to watch. Widespread severe weather is not expected with this line, but we could see some stronger gusts mixed down to the surface. Definitely not out of the question. Severe criteria is 58 miles per hour or greater, quarter-size hail, which is 1-inch diameter, or a tornado. Looking at our hazards here today and storm timing overall for this squall line. Now, this is not for a flash freeze. This timing map is for that initial line of storms moving through here this afternoon. Areas in green across northwest Indiana. We can expect to see that line or that first cold front arriving around 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 3 p.m. Central Time, getting into places like Lafayette, Terre Haute, right around that 5 o'clock Eastern Time, getting into dinner time now. We could have a gusty line of showers or perhaps a few rumbles of thunder mixing in there as well. We don't think there'll be a lot of lightning in this storm, but there could be some gusty winds along the leading edge. This squall line getting into the Indianapolis area, Evansville area, up towards the South Bend and Goshen area around 6 p.m., getting into the I-69 corridor around Fort Wayne, Muncie, Seymour around 7 o'clock, and then beginning to exit Indiana around that 8 to 9 p.m. time frame in areas in light blue. We're expecting a line of showers and storms expected tonight along the cold front. A few may contain gusty winds 40 to 50 miles per hour, with a few isolated instances of wind gusts up to 58 miles per hour. We could see a severe thunderstorm warning or two. Definitely not out of the question if the squall line is able to mix down some stronger winds aloft. We have a lot of wind shear today, and when talking about severe weather, it's something we haven't had to talk too much about here in Indiana. We've been quite quiet on the severe side of things for a while, but now as we're transitioning to a more active pattern, here we are talking about it once again. We like to think of the SLIM factor. SLIM is an acronym for the ingredients that we need for severe weather. The S in SLIM stands for wind shear. What is our wind shear doing aloft? Which is winds changing in speed and direction with height. We need that to support severe weather and sustain severe thunderstorms. We have plenty of that today. You can check that box off your list. The I in SLIM, instability or fuel needed to sustain severe weather. We don't have any of that today. We really don't have any instability at all into Indiana, and that's our biggest limiting factor here today. And that should keep things in bay from becoming what would otherwise be a much larger event here today if we had more instability. But we have plenty of moisture today. That's the M in SLIM. We have no doubt about that. Rain is already moving into Indiana, and by the time things are all said and done by this evening, many areas in Indiana will see between a half inch and 3/4 of an inch of rain by this evening. Some areas could see perhaps an inch of rain by tomorrow morning when all this is said and done. That could lead to minor ponding and flooding But some isolated severe storms can't be ruled out. Here's a look at our severe threats today on Thursday, December 18th, 2025. Not expecting any tornadoes. The tornado threat is very, very low. We have the wind shear to support it, but we don't have any instability, and that's really going to limit that side of things, which is good. So we're not expecting any tornadoes today, but we could have some damaging winds. This is our highest risk here today. And notice it's on the lower end. It's not as high as what it could be, as we've seen in other events. This is really a low end risk here today, really associated with that cold front itself, a narrow line of showers. There may not be very much lightning in this line of storms that move through. Some embedded thunder possible, not a lot of lightning expected. And that's because it's very shallow in nature. The clouds aren't super high. But nonetheless, this cold front could mix some stronger winds down to the ground, 40 to 60 mile per hour possible. Hail, not a big hail risk today. We don't really have the updrafts. We don't have that instability mentioned before. We don't have the updrafts to really support hail, but some pea-sized hail can't be entirely ruled out in that main band of convection along the cold front itself, where you maximize your lift. That's the air being lifted the most right along that cold front. Could support a few pea-sized hailstones, but nothing really too significant. But notice here we do have the flood risk elevated here today. River flooding, not a big concern, but what is a concern is heavy rainfall rates. Rainfall rates in excess of an inch an hour are possible, especially in the main band, but we also have frozen soils, especially Indianapolis and north. Our ground has really been in an icebox over the last 15 days or plus, where we've had sub-freezing temperatures. Our soils are thawing at the surface, but the first couple inches of the soil are frozen in many areas, especially across northern Indiana, and this may slow the absorption rate, the rate of which rainwater is able to become absorbed in the soil. That may be slowed. Think of it as you're pouring water on a dinner plate. That water wants to sit on top of the dinner plate instead of soaking into the soil. That can result in ponding, and that's something we're going to have to watch, especially going into overnight tonight. Remember, I mentioned at the beginning, we have two cold fronts moving through here tonight, and the first cold front is coming through with our initial line of storms. Here's the HRRR model. It's a short-term model, high-resolution model that we look at. So here we are at 4 p.m. here this evening. Here's our line of showers and storms associated with our first cold front, round number one. It's a 1-2 punch. The first punch moves through here this afternoon around dinner time. Notice how this band really wants to hold together from northern Indiana, about the toll road, all the way down to Evansville and into Kentucky. We could have some stronger winds mixing in with this. Think 40, 50 miles per hour, or perhaps an isolated severe thunderstorm warning. Can't be ruled out if winds are able to exceed 58 miles per hour. Not out of the question, but notice how it holds together into Ohio, too. Fairly impressive for the environment that we have here today. This is 8 o'clock here this evening. So after 8 o'clock, our first cold front will be moving through Indiana and making its way out. Notice as I switch on precipitation type, notice this blue here across Illinois. This is cold front number 2, stretching down from Gary, down to Springfield, Illinois, down to St. Louis at 8 o'clock. So our second cold front is getting ready to move into Indiana around 8 o'clock here this evening. You can see that transition time. We do have a little bit of a gap between our cold fronts, and depending on how large that gap is, will determine how much drying take place. And that's really the big uncertainty right now. How much time are we going to have for our roadways to dry before our secondary, more potent Arctic cold front moves through Indiana? That's really going to make or break our flash freeze here tonight. Black ice, very likely. On any roadways that are not able to dry, any puddles that remain on the road, black ice is definitely likely here tonight. But will we get that true flash freeze where water on the roadway becomes black ice everywhere? That'll be determined by how much time we have allowing us to dry. By about midnight tonight, our second Arctic cold front is well under its way across Indiana. Notice these blue little squiggly lines across Indiana. These are snow squalls. We could have some snow bands moving through Indiana after midnight tonight. So if you're driving on the roadways, not only do you need to look for black ice, but you need to watch for snow squalls. Snow squalls can limit visibility down to quarter of a mile or less. Heavy bursts of snow. We could have some quick accumulations of a dusting to a half an inch in some areas where these snow bands set up. So if you're driving on I-70, I-69, really any highway system here in Indiana, be prepared for rapidly reducing reduced visibilities and deteriorating conditions after midnight tonight, thanks to these snow squalls. So something to be mindful of as well. Going into tomorrow morning, some lake effect snow. This is 2 a.m. Snow squalls still hanging on in Indiana. And then here we are at sunrise tomorrow. You can see lake effect snow still hanging on across northern Indiana. Could see some minor accumulations, perhaps maybe an inch or two in northwest Indiana, closer to Lake Michigan. I think Elkhart, LaPorte County, Steuben County could have an inch or two accumulation up there. Not out of the question, but for your morning commute tomorrow, be mindful of these snow squalls. Could be quite impactful going from clear visibility, perfect driving conditions, to whiteout conditions. The winds will be gusty behind the cold front, gusting to 30 miles per hour. So we're going to have wind-driven snow as well. That could really enhance the whiteout conditions within these individual snow bands. So you're going to go from clear visibility to whiteout very, very quickly within these snow bands here tomorrow. By tomorrow afternoon, we clear out a few lake effect snow showers, but all in all, tomorrow is just going to be a very cold and windy day once we get the snow out of the picture. We're not really looking at widespread snow accumulations, but within those individual bands, a few people could see anywhere from a dusting to a half an inch of snow, a little bit more across northwest Indiana. Look at our temperatures here. Watch our cold front move through. We're going to have all four seasons in one day today. Here we are right about now. This is 1 o'clock, so an hour from now. Upper 50s across northwest Ohio, even a few 60s showing up here, and that'll be really limited to where the rain is not falling. The rain is cooling the air in a lot of areas, and that'll limit some areas from reaching their potential daytime highs, depending on where that rain is falling. But where the rain is not falling and the sunshine is able to come out, upper 50s and low 60s, likely across a large portion of the area here today. Look off in Illinois. This is where our squall line currently is. This is our first cold front here, where we go from the 50s to the 30s. Here we are at 6 p.m. tonight, dinner time, our first cold front moving through Indiana, Indianapolis, South Bend, down to Evansville, is seeing our first cold front move through, where we see 50s to 30s. But look back in Illinois. This is our second cold front. This is the Arctic front that'll be moving through directly on this one's heels. Look at our temperatures. Our first cold front, we go from 50s to 30s. Our secondary cold front, our Arctic front, goes from 40s to 20s to 10s and teens. It's going to drop very, very quickly. And this is our cold front of concern. Here's 10 p.m. tonight. Southeast Indiana. Think Richmond, Indiana, down to Evansville, still hanging out in the 40s, while Gary, Indiana, in the low 30s. But look in Iowa. Iowa and Northwest Illinois, 9 degrees, 10 degrees, 17 degrees. Rockford, Illinois, into the low 20s. So these are temperatures that we're really going to keep an eye on, and we're going to feel them by tomorrow morning. And here we are at midnight tonight. The western half of Indiana below freezing now at midnight tonight, per this resolution model. So depending on how fast these cold sub-freezing temperatures move in and how the roads are drying off will be the determining factor on what our flash freeze looks like here tonight. The faster this Arctic front moves in, the faster temperatures drop and the faster that water on the roadways will freeze. The greater gap between the systems, it's going to be windy between the systems, so the wind will help dry the water off the road to some extent. But any back roads or any areas that are low, have ponding or residual water on the roadways will freeze in the black ice here tonight. And here we are, 4 a.m. Look at our temperatures now. The entire state by 4 a.m. will be below freezing. Northwest Indiana into the teens. Here's our snow squalls moving in as well. You kind of see those little streaks, so colder temperatures where that snow is falling. And by sunrise tomorrow, here's 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Illinois into the 10s, 12s, even single digits in Iowa. But look at Indiana. We're starting to get in on that as well. Low teens, single digits, starting to move into Indiana. And then here's 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. Some areas not getting out of the teens tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow is going to be a blustery day, a very cold day across Indiana. The warmest spot in Indiana, Evansville. You're going to be in the 30s tomorrow. So if you need a break from the cold, go to Evansville. Heat wave down there tomorrow. But look at our wind chills. This is tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. 4 degrees, 5 degrees. Wind chills in the single digits tomorrow afternoon. It's just going to be a really cold day tomorrow, but we do quickly warm back up for Saturday, where we see temperatures rising into the 30s and 40s by Saturday afternoon, and perhaps mid to upper 40s around the Evansville area. So that's a look at our timing here tomorrow. Here's a look at live radar currently. All these little blue boxes that you see, special weather statements for strong winds here today, non-thunderstorm related. Strong southerly winds gusting to 45 miles per hour or so across Indiana today. You can see rain showers moving into the state, but look back here across Illinois. There's our squall line. This is cold front number one, stretching from about Rockford, Illinois, Springfield, Illinois, just moving through St. Louis right now. But look at these orange boxes. We have some severe thunderstorm warnings in place for 60-mile-per-hour winds associated with this squall line. So this squall line is capable of mixing down some stronger winds down to the surface, perhaps meeting severe criteria at times if it holds together. Best probabilities for a strong to severe thunderstorm, we think, are south of I-70. Southern Indiana has kind of a little bit better dynamics to support a stray strong to severe thunderstorm, but we could have some gusty winds across northern Indiana as well, 40 to 50 miles per hour along the initial line. But look how narrow it is. It's really only about 3 to 5 miles wide, if that. It's a really narrow band of showers. So once this moves through, you're going to notice temperatures start to drop and things calm down just a little bit. Let's go to some questions. If you guys have any questions for us, let us know. We got Sarah in here, Renee in here. Great to see you guys. If you guys have any questions, let us know. Michaela asks, any severe thunderstorm warnings for Terre Haute? None at the moment. Just some rain showers moving through you. But a stray strong to severe thunderstorm can't be ruled out. Something to look here, that the Storm Prediction Center actually added a marginal risk back to Indiana. There's southern Indiana. We'll go ahead and click on that to zoom in. Areas in dark green, highlighted by the Storm Prediction Center, they feel that has the best potential for a stray strong to severe thunderstorm in areas in dark green. Vincennes, Evansville, Jasper are in a level 1 out of 5, 1 being a marginal risk, 5 being a high risk. But we do have that marginal risk in place today for southern Indiana. It was just added within the last 30 minutes. It'd be interesting to see if this extends any further north. But areas south of Indianapolis, we feel have the best potential for meeting that strong to severe criteria. Winds 40 to 58 miles per hour. Severe criteria is when a wind gusts go 58 or greater miles per hour. Yeah, pretty wild that we're talking about severe weather, 2 cold fronts, snow, and wind chills in the single digits tomorrow, all within a 24-hour period here in Indiana. We're going to go from spring to winter, literally overnight. Welcome to Indiana. Yeah, sometimes we get these setups here in late fall, early winter, when we have the changing of the seasons. We have a big pattern change, strong thermodynamics. Kent asked the probability of tornadoes with this. So that's kind of an interesting thing to talk about with that. We do have, with this warning in particular in southern Illinois, has a tornado possible tag on it. No hail with this, winds to 60 miles per hour. So back to our severe ingredients. We talk about slim, shear, instability, lift, and moisture. We have plenty of wind shear, and the wind shear is more than enough to support tornadoes anywhere in this region. But the issue that we have, Kent, is instability. We don't have enough fuel to really support these storms from becoming organized, to really tap into the wind shear, especially the directional wind shear that would support tornadoes. So therefore, the tornado risk is quite low. We really don't think it's high at all. The biggest risk here today is damaging winds along this line. Notice how this line is very straight. It's not bendy in very many places. It's very straight. It's linear. And because it's linear and just the overall dynamics of the system, we're really not looking at a tornado risk today. Is it impossible? No. But it's a very, very low percentage today. I wouldn't worry about tornadoes at all today. Is it impossible? No. But the main risk today, damaging winds 40 to 60 miles per hour. So back to our severe weather threats today, a very low risk for tornadoes. Is it non-zero? No. But you're looking at a very minuscule risk compared to the other hazards at play here. And that goes with our dynamics today as well. Something cool to kind of show you what I mean by that is we look at our model runs for not just, radar. We look at them for ingredients. We look at our shopping cart that Mother Nature has to offer us today. And looking at our upper level winds here today, we have plenty of wind shear today. Here we go. let's go back here. So here we are, a few thousand feet off the ground. We have winds 70 to 75 knots. That's about 80 miles an hour. So just a few thousand feet off the ground. You don't have to go very high to run into some very strong southwesterly winds here today. When we talk about directional wind shear, and really for tornadoes, we need winds changing at speed and direction with height. We have a lot of winds changing with speed at height, but we don't have a lot of directional wind shear today. We do have some, but we have really strong, this is called a low level jet. Essentially, a really strong river of air directly over Indiana associated with our cold front. 80 plus miles per hour at times over Indiana. And that's really going to allow this narrow band, if it becomes any taller or any stronger, it could pull some of those winds down to the ground in terms of 40 to 50 miles per hour, perhaps 60 miles per hour in some places too. So a lot of wind shear today that'll support a damaging wind risk versus a tornado risk today. And because we don't have any instability, hail is not really a factor today. So one more look at timing here before we jet off here today. Go ahead and turn back our timing map here today. Here we are at 1 p.m. As we just saw, our line is currently on track across Rockford, Illinois, down to St. Louis, Illinois, moving across central Illinois right now. Our line of storms will move into Indiana 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time in the western Indiana. It'll quickly move. This forward motion could be 50, 60 miles per hour forward motion. So this thing's going to be booking. It's going to be racing across Indiana with our cold front. Here we are, 6 p.m. here tonight. Our line getting into South Bend, Elkhart, Indianapolis seeing some, Wabash seeing some, down just to the east of Evansville into southern Indiana by 6 p.m. here tonight. 7 o'clock getting into the Fort Wayne area, Angola area, Seymour, Indiana, coming into the Louisville area as well around 7 o'clock here tonight. This line's still holding together along the cold front. Winds 40 to 50 miles per hour. It could see an isolated severe thunderstorm in here as well. Winds could exceed 58 miles per hour at times. Widespread severe weather not expected, but we could have an isolated strong to severe storm with this. Beginning to exit Indiana, 8, 9 o'clock. This line is moving out of Indiana at this time. Some light rain showers behind this, but we're going to see that drop in temperatures. Look how close the snow is to our line of convection here. Not really that far away. And here comes our cold air. First cold front is through. We're into the low 40s, upper 30s at this time. Our Arctic cold front by 11 p.m. is moving into Indiana. Temperatures are dropping into the low 30s and 20s by this time, and snow squalls are moving into Indiana after midnight. Quick burst of accumulation, rapidly deteriorating driving conditions within these squalls. So be mindful of that if you're driving on the highway here tonight, anywhere in the state of Indiana. Be weather aware, watch out for black ice, but also for snow squalls that could rapidly reduce visibility. Whiteout conditions can't be ruled out, as we do have strong winds of 30 miles per hour. Winds right now are out of the south at about 15 to 20 miles per hour, gusting to 30 to 35. We could have an isolated gust of 45 today, mixing down somewhere in Indiana. Behind our cold front, our winds are going to shift out of the west-northwest at 15 to 20 miles per hour, gusting to 35 with our snow showers. So that's going to create blowing snow and whiteout conditions in any of these snow bands. So do be careful if you're driving tonight on the roadways across Indiana. So with that being said, I kind of go through our hazards one more time here for the rest of the night. Damaging winds, primary risk, 40 to 60 miles per hour. No hail is expected. Tornado risk, very, very low. Not expecting any tornadoes in Indiana. It's a non-zero risk, but we feel the risk is quite negligible at this point in time. Could have some excessive ponding from heavy rainfall rates here today, and combination from melting snow and some frozen soils that we have across especially central and northern Indiana. That could create some ponding on area roadways and field ponding as well. Snow squalls possible here tonight. Areas in turquoise here have the best chance of seeing some snow squalls here tonight. Quick accumulations of snow, a dusting to a half an inch of snow possible where these bands set up. Reduced visibility and whiteout conditions possible within these snow bands, and west-northwest winds to 30 plus miles per hour. Sustained winds at 15 to 20 miles per hour. Plan on rapidly deteriorating driving conditions and snow squalls. Slow down, turn your headlights on, increase following distance when in these driving conditions. And here's our storm timing map. This is for the first cold front, our thunderstorms moving through Indiana. 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern in areas of green, 5 p.m. yellow, 6 p.m. purple, and pink, 7 p.m. in the Fort Wayne I-69 corridor, and exiting Indiana, 8 to 9 p.m. Widespread severe weather is not expected, but we could have um, gusty winds up to 58 miles per hour possible. See a total on rainfall totals here, anywhere between a half an inch to an inch to the expected Indiana wide. I'll actually go ahead and show you here on this model here. Heaviest amounts across southern and southeast Indiana. We think some areas could see over an inch of rainfall, depending on where the heaviest bands kind of set up or train, where it rains over the same areas again and again. We could see some heavier rainfall amounts there. Areas across northwest Indiana, a little bit less, but still getting in on a quarter to a half an inch of rain, perhaps, but a good soaker across a good majority of Indiana. Keep in mind, this will help with drought. A good portion of central and northern Indiana is still in severe, moderate, and extreme drought. Despite having a lot of snow, snow doesn't have as much moisture as rain does, and rain is really beneficial to the drought. So we'll take some rainfall that we can get here into Indiana. So with that being said, I don't see any other questions here, so we're going to let you go. We'll keep you updated on the pages here today, and if we may go live later this evening for severe weather coverage if everything holds together. Stay tuned. Either way, we got you covered here. Indiana Weather Online, Indiana Weather Network. Take care and have a happy Thursday afternoon.